Senior Director of Product Management Collaboration at Cisco, Tom Richards, Principal Cloud Solution Architect at Microsoft, Robert J. Gates, and SHI's ASG Pre-Sales Solution Architect of Collaboration, Mallory Santucci.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our discussion on how AI is changing the way we collaborate. My name is Mallory Santucci, and you might recognize me from the cover of SHI's first EUC magazine. And if anyone is interested, I can sign autographs after the session. My days are spent providing technical guidance and expertise around video, voice, hybrid work, and of course, collaboration solutions. Sorry. Artificial intelligence is completely transforming how we work together. This unique collaboration between humans and AI can only be seen as complementary. AI is helping to provide our modern workforce with tools that improve productivity, increase efficiency, and reduce costs. But it also can be leveraged for additional diversity and inclusion. When I think about AI in collaboration, I'm thinking of my friend Claudiana, who's using the real-time translation feature as English is not her first language. I'm thinking of my coworker Stacy, who has difficulty taking notes on customer calls. So she uses the transcription feature so that she doesn't miss any key details during customer conversations. I'm also thinking of Michael, who has severe health issues and can't go into the crowded office. So he's working from home, but is still able to have that same immersive meeting experience as his coworkers in the office. These AI tools are completely changing our lives and allowing people to collaborate wherever and however works best for them. Joining me in this conversation are two thought leaders paving the way for this digital transformation. We have Robert Gates, Principal Cloud Security Solution Architect at Microsoft, where he has worked for the last 8 years. Robert has decades of experience delivering Microsoft solutions and has been leading his team around Copilot for M365 for the past year and a half. We also have Tom Richards, Senior Director of Product Management at Cisco. Tom has 25 years of experience in software, hardware, cloud, and AI technologies. He's currently leading the team responsible for strategic growth and adoption of collaboration endpoints in Cisco's Collaboration Technology Group. A lot of collaboration words, huh?
I'm involved in collaboration.
So our first question is, could you paint a picture of the current landscape of AI and collaboration, and what are the most impactful use cases that you're seeing? This is for Robert first.
Yeah, so AI is sort of being infused really across the board in the products that you use today. And there's actually a couple of different aspects. One is at the application layer, but also at the hardware layer, where you're able to sort of amplify and accelerate things that you do day in and day out. And as you start to go through the journey, what you'll see is that like tools like Copilot, for example, they're just there in the flow of work. And so what's really important is just to remember to think about your day-to-day processes, your workflow, things that you do, and AI potentially is there to help you accelerate, amplify, and we'll probably talk a little bit about creativity, but really enhance your creativity capabilities.
What are your thoughts about that, Tom?
Yeah, I think, Robert, you're spot on. And for me, just to break it down, the way I think about it, so there's AI, I think, to support the sort of productivity and capabilities of the individual and allow them to scale and be efficient and be creative and come out of the weeds, I think, of details. Then as you get into collaboration, I think with Copilot, the integration of those Copilot capabilities into the collaboration experience of Microsoft Teams is super valuable. I think it's really some really exciting new developments going on there. And then I think there's what we do, what my team does, which is AI at the device level, which says, okay, in a room like this, for example, if one of you guys start asking questions and there's remote participants looking at us, but they can't see you. So how do we combine the intelligence in the device to say, well, let's turn on one of these other cameras that's in the room and combine those images to provide a better far-end participant view, which is crucial to the hybrid work use case that we're trying to deliver. And then the last piece, sorry, I'm rabbiting. There's one last piece, which is the operational side of this. So AI has, I think, a lot of value to bring to be able to get operations teams to be able to scale. So what problems, as the flood of problems come in, as they inevitably do, where should I focus my time? How do I use AI to help me to isolate where those problems are and deal with those problems efficiently? And so I think there's a number of layers, all of which I think are developing really quickly with regard to AI.
Well, you already answered my next question, so I'll pose it to Robert. Could you highlight some of the specific ways that Microsoft is leveraging AI to enhance collaboration?
Yeah, so it is being baked in across all of our products. And for example, right now, you're all here listening to us, and your email box is probably getting fuller by the moment, right? And so you're going to have a lot of unread emails. So the ability to use the AI capabilities to accelerate, reviewing, responding, almost being a research assistant to help you draft those messages is a really powerful component. This would be the same thing if you had a lot of, let's say, Teams conversations in a multi-party group, and there's a long thread that you've missed all day. How can you get up to speed? And using some of the summarization tools. And then you get into things like the meeting transcript and just being able to get to the heart of what's going on in a meeting and be able to focus on it. So it's being really incorporated across the board. I could go on for hours of where it shows up. There's even days where I forget that it's in certain places, and then I'm like, oh, there's the Copilot icon, for example. And then I'll use it to help me accelerate or amplify something I'm doing across the modern work stack.
I want to pivot a little bit to inclusion. How is Microsoft using these tools to improve and support its inclusion, equity, and diversity values?
Yeah, so I think, and you hit on some of the examples of folks that you mentioned in your intro, but being able to leverage the AI tools to kind of create a fair experience for everybody, right? They're like, I spend a lot of time in meetings, but I'm not good at note-taking. Like, I'm really good at getting engaged and interactive in the meeting and hearing what's going on and pivot in the conversation. But taking the meeting notes and capturing those insights from the meeting is usually a very difficult thing. Historically, I would go to the recording and I would do the notes after the fact. I don't have to do that now. It's happening in real time. I'm getting the transcription. I'm getting the to-dos and the action items immediately from those conversations, which actually is interesting. It's helping from a diversity and inclusion perspective. It's also driving that creativity piece, because now I'm not worried and stressing about those meeting notes. It's actually allowing me to pay more attention to my audience. And so if I'm in a customer conversation, suddenly I'm hearing things that I may not have noticed or paid attention to, right? And so
right, because you're busy taking notes.
Because I'm busy taking notes and doing some of that. So you'll see that across the product. The transcription feature, I work with colleagues all across North America and South America and Latin America as well. And just sort of being able to use those translation tools to make sure that we're all on the same page in our natural languages is definitely one of many facets.
Tom, Cisco's perspective on diversity, equity, and inclusion is that they want to cultivate an environment in which we all thrive. So how are these AI tools helping to support that perspective?
Yeah, and I think, Robert, the tools directly for the individuals, I think, are fundamental. The ability, for example, to lift you out of the details and to come into the more creative environment is key for everyone to be able to do this. I think crossing language, crossing location boundaries, these are other really important parts, I think, of what we do. And for me, I see this as the ability for, I live, by the way, in northern Vermont. I had a rather interesting time traveling here this morning. But I work with our development team in Oslo, in Norway, in Dallas, in China. How do I connect with those people without traveling? That's been a crucial part of enabling me to be where I am, which is in the Northeast, and be very connected with our customers and our partners in this region, which is super important for us, and then bring that learning into our development environment. And so I think that ability for us to make those connections is key. For me, it's fundamental that we do this not just in the home environments or in the mobile environments, but also in the buildings. Because what we recognize is that the graduate hires that are coming into the workforce, they really crave connectivity with people like us who've been in the industry for a while and want to share our knowledge. And to be able to create an environment where we can do that both remotely, but also in buildings where we are fundamentally well connected, well supported, and joining whatever meetings we want, with all the wonderful features that Robert's talked about. That's, I think, at the core of what Cisco is really about.
Absolutely, what a great point. Now we're gonna move into, we have one poll question, just one. We wanna know, in what ways has AI improved your productivity and teamwork within your organization? So while you guys are answering this question in the Slido poll, I'm going to pose the same question to our participants. Tom, how do these AI advancements in collaboration affect Cisco's employee and engagement?
So I think for me, there's well, I guess fundamentally for the end users, it is about being able to feel comfortable to come back to the office and be able to join whatever meetings they're invited to and have a great experience. And I think that's so fundamental, like getting us back to the office we need to be able to join our meetings. By the way, I spend probably half of my time as a Cisco employee on Microsoft Teams meetings. Who am I talking to? Microsoft. I need to have a great experience when I do that. I need to be fundamentally supported. And so having the AI capabilities built in, giving me data about what's going on in the building, what rooms are available in real time, allowing me to quickly book and drop into those spaces, and then having a great experience, whatever meeting I'm in, and allowing all of the AI features that Robert talked about, for example, in Microsoft Teams, to be surfaced. That's the way I see AI really changing our environment.
I love that you said that as a Cisco employee, you're using Microsoft. I think that's really cool. I also wanted to know from you, Robert, how is Microsoft using their own tools to improve their employee, their productivity? What is Microsoft using it for?
Yeah, I mean, so just to kind of extend on the points there, the ability to create sort of a fair and balanced experience, right? You've got folks that are sitting at home. Some are remote, some are at a Starbucks, some are in the office. And everybody's got a very similar experience. They can see the content easily, right? And creating that uniformity, I think, is super important. And that's one of the things we've been driving. And then really, it's just looking at ways to remove friction in your daily workflow, right? So what we've been focused on is looking at things that we do either very frequently or that have a lot of pain and friction to get done, and layering on the Copilot experiences, these Gen AI experiences, to really just amplify and accelerate that journey. And it's just across the board on the products, yeah.
I like that Microsoft employees are actually using their product and not just saying for other people to use it, that they're getting to use it too and reaping the benefits. So talking about the benefits, I am curious to know what type of enhancements is Microsoft considering in the future? What's on the roadmap? What can you share with us?
Yeah, so a lot of the things you've seen today have been about individual productivity, amplifying and really accelerating what you do on a daily basis from your perspective. But what we're working on and rolling out, which we announced a couple of weeks ago at one of our conferences, is the ability to bring these Gen AI experiences into more of a team collaboration. So this kind of enhances what that meeting experience would be. Now, instead of just me going in and using Copilot, for example, to do the meeting notes, the transcription, we could work together as a group and have these notes happening in real time, collaborate on it, make modifications, use it as a brainstorming tool, use it almost as like a project manager in a meeting and a conversation. So there is a whole generation of tools and capabilities rolling out across the Teams meetings, across the group conversations and chats, both in the chat tool as well as Teams channels, where you'll have this cohesive kind of collaborative experience. And then sort of even going further, what we call agents. And so there are going to be things that you do day in and day out that have some repetitiveness. Why do you do them? Why should you do them? Can you sort of design or build an agent that's going to help you accelerate that task? So that's just some of the many things that are coming. We did also announce Copilot inside of SharePoint as well. And so you can highlight a couple of files, build a custom Copilot that is targeted to a specific data set, and be able to allow your folks to go in and ask specific questions to that data. So that's, there's lots of stuff coming. We are not stopping, so just expect more features and functions rolling out over the coming months, quarters, et cetera.
Awesome, we can't wait. What about Cisco? What can you share with us?
So, well, I think Cisco, listening to a lot of the stuff that Microsoft is doing, I mean, I think that when it comes to meetings platforms and building these ongoing AI capabilities in meeting platforms, we see that right across the board. And so one of the key things, I see that in Zoom and in WebEx and in Google and so on and so forth. I think Microsoft is doing a fabulous job in that. So from our perspective as devices people, one of the most important things for us is to allow us to surface those capabilities in every space possible, including spaces like this, where you want to be able to leverage that kind of meeting intelligence and all of the wonders that it gives you in any space available to you. And so to do that, I think some of the big developments we're focused on from a devices perspective specifically is what we consider an AI director. So an intelligent kind of, if you like, entity behind the scenes saying, how should I provide the experience for in-room and far-end participants? and to do that in an intelligent way that allows users to move away from worrying about cameras and worrying about audio and even worrying about mute buttons and any of those kind of things, and just focus on the meeting the way they would if they were all in the room together. And so I think that's one fundamental part. And I think then the other fundamental part I touched on earlier, which is operationally, scale is going to be key. I think as we look at collaboration, as we look at hybrid work, the necessity to be able to deal with a very, very large footprint with the same operations team that we've always had and not have to scale that massively is where AI is going to pay huge dividends. And so we're just about to come out with a couple of key features around remote manageability and about AI supporting those operations teams to be able to focus in the right ways. And we will continue to move on there as well. And so I think those two combinations of focus points, together with, I think, the meetings platforms, is a really, really exciting area for us over the next year or so.
Very cool. I'm excited to see what comes next. One thing that I wanted to talk about was that Cisco and Microsoft have a really great partnership to reimagine the hybrid work experience. I know that Tom was really interested in sharing this, so we want to make sure that everyone is aware that Microsoft and Cisco, we're friends, and we play well together. We're not like this. So I wanted to ask Tom, if you could share a little bit about how that partnership is going.
Yeah, so yes, and to be honest, it was one of the partnerships that I really wanted to get going, some years ago. I think the realities are we have a common footprint of customers out there between Microsoft and Cisco devices, Microsoft Teams particularly. So I think there was an inevitability about us coming together. And as soon as we all came together to start having the conversation about what we wanted to go do, the meeting of minds was very, very quick. And there were just these kind of fundamental pillars that we needed to make sure that we could get into any space. We could deliver a full Microsoft Teams experience in those spaces, that we could leverage all the AI stuff from both companies that we're developing in those spaces, and that we could operationalize it. And it's been going for about 2 years now. I guess we really came out of the gates with the portfolio of products that we support with Microsoft Teams Rooms about 9 months ago. And it's just been an enormous response from our customer base. It's been super exciting. And I love working with the Microsoft team. I have so much fun. I meet, I think it's every other day these days with Microsoft. So it's a pretty close partnership and a lot of fun. Thanks for asking.
We actually get a lot of questions about Cisco and Microsoft and how they play nicely together. So I think it's really great that we touched on that. Robert, do you want to share anything about the partnership?
Yeah, I think it is important to think about the hardware and the software coming together, right? And having that better together story. From a user perspective, I'm a hybrid worker, so sometimes I'm in an office, sometimes I'm remote, sometimes I'm working from my home location. And I don't necessarily want to go to an office if none of my team members are there. And so, having the hardware, understanding the presence, the usage, the statistics, and how we're leveraging the rooms across our Microsoft campuses, for example, combined with my ability to see that and know when I can go in or when it makes sense to go in so I can actually get some face time with people, but then also have that opportunity to go back to my home office, get heads down, and work on projects and tasks. So being able to use the hardware, the intel, the insights that you get from the hardware side combined with the software and what we do from the collaboration, right, I think has been really good.
What would you say is the AI feature that you use the most?
Well, I spend a lot of time in meetings, and so just having Copilot there to help me with the transcription and the meeting summarization, making sure I don't forget any to-dos and action items is probably the primary one I use. But I actually use Copilot as a sort of a brainstorming buddy as well. So I'll get assigned a task or somebody will ask me a particular question, and I don't really do anything with it, but go to Copilot first. And I use it as a research assistant. I'll do that brainstorming, build out some insights and information very, very quickly. And then I actually go back and forth with Copilot almost in this conversation and ask it to fine tune and enhance it, and then take that output and basically build an outline. Now, either I'll use that outline to present or talk to somebody, or I use that outline as the structure to build a full document, or maybe even a PowerPoint presentation. So just having it there as a collaboration buddy to kind of be creative and innovative is definitely one of the things that I do as well.
Well, I'm going to have to try that out. It'll make my life a little easier.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think? What do you use the most?
So I think, look, I use a lot of these kind of tools that Robert's described sort of actively, but I think sort of passively, I would say it's things like background noise removal in real time. and being able to do beamforming microphones that remove the voices of people who are not in the open plan space, but not in the meeting. But these are the kinds of things that I use. I literally use this in real time all the time that I'm on meetings on my device in my home office as well as in the buildings. And so I think that that's just, it's like 100% of the time that's happening. What's nice is I'm not even aware that it's happening. It's just doing it for me, which I think is what I find really exciting.
I feel like it's something that you take for granted. I actually had to call a contact center recently, and when the woman answered the phone, all I heard were her coworkers in the background, and I asked, what kind of headset are you using? It's just because it was just something that you don't realize that there's background noises, and I couldn't concentrate on the question that I was going to ask because I just heard there was a birthday party in the background. So I was like, oh, well. Happy birthday, Taylor. So I feel like I totally get that. That's right. I feel like that's something that you don't really even realize is happening.
You don't know it's possible.
Right.
Until you've actually tried it. You could have in real time not just your own background noise removed, but the background noise of that contact center person.
Right.
So you don't even need to worry about what they've got because you can do it yourself. So I think these are the things that AI can do, and as I say, should just be working all the time for you quietly in the background.
Right. Would make all our lives so much easier. So as you can see, we're only at the beginning of our journey with AI and collaboration. With the introduction of AI, modern workplaces can increase productivity, create intelligent workplaces, and promote inclusivity. The question on your mind should be, are we ready to explore the power of AI in our organization? If your answer is yes, your first step is to reach out to your SHI account executive, who will get you in touch with the right person, hopefully me, to help you select, deploy, and manage those solutions. I want to thank Tom and Rob so much for being here today and sharing their ideas. I hope that this conversation shed some light on how AI tools can genuinely help your employees in their day-to-day life. I look forward to the future and our exploration of AI in collaboration. Thank you.